Hi, everybody. It's Tuesday. It is Valentine's Day. For those of you who celebrate, welcome in. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Rob Ellis, Derek Gunn, and Barrett Brooks is back from the desert. What's going on, everybody? What's up, B? How you doing? How was your trip, man?
I'm still in mourning, man. I'm still a little pissed off. Of course, nobody liked the results which we saw, but I'm a little more pissed off than usual, simply because this was the Eagles game. They should have won this game. It was clear that they had the better roster, but coaching and that quarterback just took over, man. I mean, we didn't have a reaction to Big Red's reaction. And I mean, how do we not sack Patrick Mahomes one time? Not one time.
Yeah, like I'm not over it. I'm not good. I'm not going to be good for a while. And the more I replay it in my mind, the more ticked off I get.
Yes.
Not one sack, not one tackle for a loss. 4 possessions in the second half, which could have netted 4 touchdowns had they chosen to score a touchdown on the last one where they kicked the field goal. And I know one was short field with a bad punt. But the defensive line and way too much pressure on Hurts. The defense and the offensive line, which were the strengths all year, got beat. They lost. They lost their battles, period.
Well,
and you're right. The coaching by Gannon was horrendous also, but go ahead.
I'm not going to say the offensive line. In the first half, the offensive line was fine. Second half, it pisses me off because we've talked about how this team went into halftime and had in-game adjustments. And Spags, Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, Spags knew what he was doing. He countered their counter, and he brought 7. We probably could have picked up 6. But only 5 blockers. It's the only thing that happens. That's the only thing that's wrong with how we run our offense. We leave the 2 tackles to block them on the ends. We leave 5 offensive linemen to block whatever fly they bring. But when they bring 7, do we have a counter to that? And I don't think that we did a good job of countering. See, what Spags did, he brought 7, but he brought them from different angles. He would bring them into the front side A gap and the back side B gap. And what that does is it makes you leave one. It makes you leave one. There will be one free blitzer. One free blitzer every time you go to the line. And that one free blitzer would be on the outside, the widest guy. And their defensive ends were fast enough to get there or interrupt Jalen Hurts in his reads. Mm-hmm. So what do you do with that? You run shorter routes. We were steady looking for the big play. Sometimes you just got to nibble a little bit. So stop going for the big play all the time.
That's what the Chiefs did.
Did that the whole game.
Side adjustments. You got to have side adjustments. You got to run slants. When they bring a blitz and they're going to leave one, they're going to leave you the quarterback, the widest guy. He's going to be free. But what do? If they're blitzing from the interior? That means the interior is a void. There's nobody there to pick up a slant or a stop route or a drag route. You run those type of routes that, are in the middle of the field. And you can get them to them because they vacated the middle of the field. So in order to kill, you must also be willing to die. And if they would have turned around and threw like slants in the inside, out routes to the outside, or just some stick routes or stick nod routes, they could have had a gain instead of having a loss. And Spags great defensive coordinator, outcoached us in the second half as far as how we needed to scheme to keep the offense going.
Yep. Not just Spags. Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, their big game experience showed over the big game inexperience of Sirianni, Steichen, and Gannon. It was that simple. I want to ask you this, Barrett, because and this is not nitpicking at what you said consistently last week, because you have been on point for much of the season when you've made these predictions. But Rob and I kept pumping the brakes and said, and a lot of the national pundits said exactly the same thing you were saying. You were adamant beyond belief that the Eagles were going to win this game by double digits over Kansas City.
Yep.
National pundits said the same doggone thing. Rob and I kept saying, and because I know Andy Reid, I said, I don't see it that way. This is going to be a close game. What made you think? What really made you think that this was going to be a lopsided game in favor of the Eagles?
The trenches. Okay. The Eagles had a superior offensive line, a superior defensive line. There's no way that defense shouldn't have had at least one sack. There was not one sack.
Nope.
Not one sack.
B. Brooks, the closest they got to sacking Mahomes was when he stepped up in the pocket and was falling forward, and he dumped it off, and Travis Kelce picked it up off his shoe top and was for a reception. That's the closest they got to sacking Mahomes the entire day.
So how does that happen? Why does that happen?
Coaching.
That's exactly right. Coaching. You got to be able to deal with situations like when you have a quarterback like that, a superior quarterback with superior athletic talent. You got to counter. You know, for the first time, I really thought Gannon should have sent a blitz or two. You know, if you just sent a blitz or two, they already had a problem picking up your front four. And it wasn't like they weren't. It wasn't like they weren't almost there because you know I don't make excuses, but everybody was sliding around. Everybody was sliding around.
Yes.
But it's great for the offense when you're sliding around because it gives you a split second more to react as an offensive player. Well, that's exactly what happened with you know, our defense couldn't get there because that split second it took was that split second Patrick Mahomes needed to know where he was going to go with the ball. You got to play tighter. Offensive players know where they're going. Defensive players don't know where they're going. So it's a lot of slipping and sliding out there. But it was the same with their defense against our offense. They were slipping and sliding.
Yep.
But the difference is Spags started game planning that slipping and sliding, understood the slipping and sliding. So what did he do? He sent more players than they could block.
Yep.
So when you send more players you can block, that means that the quarterback has to react in a certain way. But you have to adjust the route running to what you're seeing up front. You adjust it by, all right, get to the line. You see that, all right, they're bringing a blitz. I see they're bringing a blitz. Let me audible to 322 stick nod.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a stick nod route where the tight end looks in and looks out, boom, you know, and catches it. Real quick route. A 3-step drop, meaning Hurts is only going to drop back 3 steps and get the ball out of his hands. Speeds everything up. We kept trying to run 5- and 7-man route step drops. You can't do that. You can't do that when you have 7 people coming. You can only block 5. We stayed with scat protection.
Barrett, you got to try something else. Like whatever it is, whatever schematically, all the stuff you're laying out, I'm sure would have absolutely worked. But it had to have worked better than what you were doing. You saw it. You saw it on the very first drive of the second half, what it was going to be. And you don't adjust to it. Like that's what's so frustrating. Like even if they sent pressure and they went all out, and hi, Mama Brooks, and they don't get home or whatever, or they get
one second.
Yeah,
Mom, get your window fixed. Somebody broke my mom's car last night.
No, come on,
get your window fixed. And my mom's stubborn. She didn't call me. And my brother told on you, and he's going to get your window fixed for you.
Okay. You
should have told me, Mom. Mm-hmm. See, sometimes you got to get on Mom sometimes.
Baby boy will take care of that, Mama Brooks. We'll get that straightened out. All right. No, I'm wishing her all the best with that for sure.
Yep.
But I would, Barrett, the point is just try anything, man. Try
exactly.
Anything. This isn't working.
This is the last game of the season. This is the championship game. This is the Super Bowl. If it wasn't working, stop trying to run it. Let's run something else. You know, that's what Andy did. He said, all right, I bumped my head enough in the first half. What did he do to come in the second half? He ran the ball. When he ran the ball, Gannon did counter running the ball. He did counter it. He put in a 5-man front. But you know what happens when you put in a 5-man front? That means you have 5 defensive linemen, a 50 front. That it works when you're trying to stop the run.
Right.
But what it does, it makes you vulnerable in the pass. Because that one down lineman that you took out and put down over the nose, so they cover the center and both guards. Then on the outside, they got the DNs or linebacker type of players, whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. But what that does, you take one guy that was standing up and put him on the ground, put his hand in the ground. That means the middle of the field opens up. Hence, that's why Andy Reid started running crossing routes. That's why Juju kept getting open. You know what I'm saying? That's why Scatton started to get open. You start running those type of deals. And, oh, by the way, when they put in 21 personnel, they used what's his name? Sky Moore.
Moore.
As a running back / wide receiver.
Yep.
Right. And he heard him too. Yeah, I mean,
counter to the counter.
All right, stop right there, B. Brooks. I want to ask you this. Eagles held them to 39 yards rushing in the first half.
Yep.
Second half, it didn't make a difference if the Eagles had a 4-man front or a 5-man front. They were gouging the heck out of them, and it wasn't on outside runs. They were gouging them between the tackles, and the runs they were killing them with, when they popped through the line, there were gaping holes.
Yep.
I'm not talking about just slipping and sliding.
Yards before contact runs.
They were gone.
Massive.
They were massive holes.
26 rushes, 158 yards, 6.1 yards per carry.
Against the 4 and the 5-man front. First of all, this vaunted 5-man front that had done such a good job most of the season against the run, especially when they got Sue and Joseph in there, got exposed in this game. Where was the linebackers filling the gaps also on the run as well? Okay.
That's because we tried to man.
Barrett, at some point it's the players too.
And yeah. I'm not gonna say it's not Gannon. Guys slipping, fall. You got to make that play. You got to stay on your feet. Period. Nothing else you can do. You get paid to make plays. Coaching aside, sometimes you can make your coach feel good and look good by playing. You got to play out of your mind. Kansas City played out of mind, and I said that I said it on the postgame show I'm on. I said, look, the Chiefs wanted it more. Not saying they didn't play hard, not saying they were undisciplined, but the Chiefs wanted it more. They did more to make more plays. The offensive line took over and started just keeping a hat on the hat. They weren't blowing them off the ball, but they stayed in front of them and the runner.
Yes, they did.
They ran plays like traps.
Yes.
Inside traps.
Yep.
You bring the defensive line up the field, you run right up underneath them. On the outside, to let the defensive line run up the field, they run right behind them. That's just game planning. But you, as a player, you got to see they're doing that to you. So you got to make a play. You've got to make a play. And we didn't make enough plays.
I want to ask you something, Barrett. I asked Rob. I mentioned this to Rob yesterday, and I've been waiting to get your opinion on this. And we had a lot of fun all season long playing with the GAN-wagon and all this stuff, you know. And people would get on me when I said I can't get on this GAN-wagon, but not just the GAN-wagon. I'm gonna present it to you exactly as I presented it to Rob, and I want to hear your comment on this. Okay. Everything we thought that the Eagles had fixed in the regular season, the special teams, the run defense, the offense's ability to overcome any defense, reared its ugly head in this game. Now, what made it even more demoralizing, especially the offense going against Kansas City's defense, and we broke this down for 3 days in a row. Kansas City's defense was playing with a bunch of kids. They played press coverage for most of the game.
Yep.
They took their lumps. They got beat on deep balls, got beat on the A.J. Brown touchdown. They got beat on deep shots. Those kids did not back down. Your guy refused to come up and knock these dudes off the route. And it ain't like they were playing Tyreek Hill. They were playing 3 cast-off receivers from the Giants, the Packers, and the Steelers. And they made all them dudes look like Pro Bowlers.
D-Gun, what did we say? What did we say at the beginning at the beginning of last week when we were, building up to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
We've got to play press coverage.
Yes.
You've got to take the first read away. We never played press coverage.
No.
When you don't play press coverage, it doesn't get that defensive line enough time to get there. If you don't play press coverage, you see how they were running crossing routes and I mean they ran press coverage one time and it just so happens that Epps came up and tried to hit and nail Travis Kelce on the line.
Yeah,
Travis is just good, man. He beat him on a little nod route, a stick nod route, for a touchdown. I get it. That's he's an all-pro dude. That happens. I'd rather you get beat being aggressive and going out there fighting as opposed to sitting back. It's like you're playing dominoes. You keep nicking somebody to death. Oh, here's 5 here, here's 5 here, here's 5 here. That's all they did. You know what I'm saying? 5 here. There wasn't no boats, wasn't no 20s going on. It was just nickel and dime them, nickel and dime them, nickel and dime them. And that's how they won the game, man. You have to make sure that if you're going to play press, you take that first read away. The first read wasn't taken away because you could tell by the second half that Juju just running across the field untouched. So if you could just reroute him a little bit, you take Patrick Mahomes' eyes off him just for a second. You got an opportunity. We didn't do that. We didn't do that.
Yeah, it was highly frustrating. And by the way, we'll get into this more. The offense shouldn't be let off the hook either. Like, I know what they did in the first half, but they didn't run the ball well. There were opportunities missed there. Also, certainly way more on the defense.
Well, see, I'm gonna tell you this though. Running the ball consistently takes you running the ball consistently. You're not going to bust an 8-yard play every single time.
Right.
You get 3 here. You get 5 here. You get 2 there. That's a first down.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go back to doing – well, we can't go back because we're into another year now. We'll never have that same team again. But we just showed a lack of adjustments. And I thought that we were better. Our coaching staff would be better in game time adjustments. We did a great job in the first half. We were beating them 2-1 as far as plays. 2-1. I don't know how many plays we had in the first half, how many plays they had in the second half.
44.
It's like 44 to like 12 or 18 or something.
It was the opposite. They just flipped the script. The Eagles didn't have the ball, and in the first half, the Chiefs hardly had the ball.
And we're not a good enough team. We are a good enough team because we're the better team on the field before the end of the game. But we have better athletes on the field. It's just like Dan just said, they were patient. They were patient.
Yeah, they well, that's what good coaches do. And Andy and Bieniemy and Spags, quite frankly, owned Sirianni.
Yes.
Steichen, Gannon. They got out coached. You can slice it any way you want.
I thought the 2 most atrocious scenarios, and Rob, you and I broke this down yesterday. And if it happens once, that's understandable. But Barrett, Kansas City goes down on consecutive drives. They go with the motion set. Tony standing wide open over here, touchdown. Where's Darius Slay? He followed him initially. When the ball snapped, Slay's looking to the inside, pointing to the inside. Everybody flows to the inside. He's standing wide. You and I, Rob, could have stood there and caught that touchdown. The very next series, they come back down the field, run the same doggone thing to the opposite side. Sky Moore standing wide open, touchdown.
Well, I mean,
it's looking to the inside.
You're right, D-Gun. That goes with coaching. So if it happened, why aren't you on the sideline explaining what happened on your side?
Correcting it.
Why are the players not talking to the coach?
Yep.
It's the same play to the opposite side. That wasn't corrected, and or you had major breakdowns from the Eagles. Now, this goes back to the regular season, and Eric Bieniemy noticed that the issues that they have when teams, get guys in motion, and they think it's going to be a jet sweep or whatever. Go back to the Jags game. And I'm pretty sure that Doug and Andy probably had a conversation about this, that they're vulnerable here. And they were vulnerable whenever the Chiefs did that. And that
was 23. Was 23's name? He just happened to drop passes. 23 did the same thing. Let me get it. Yes.
For what team?
For who?
For the Jaguars.
That's where he got the play from.
Yeah.
You're saying you're saying who's number 23 on the Jags?
On the Jags.
I'm looking it up now.
They talked about how Eric Bieniemy went back in all the film.
I'm sorry, 39. His name is 39.
No, Agnew. You're talking about Agnew. Jamal Agnew. Yeah.
Bieniemy saw this in a film study over 2 weeks and went back, and that's what they used twice on the Eagles.
And then he probably used the third time if they got back down there, and it probably would have worked. And that's just overcompensating on motion going away. Motion going away. They're trying to talk it out. Now I get it, because they're trying to talk it out. They're trying to communicate what's going on. But you got to understand, you're still playing man to man, and it's called got you. When you're playing got you defense, you got to play got you defense. So if I got you on this play, I got you. So if I got Sky Moore on this play, in which that's exactly what happened. Maddox had Sky Moore on the play, and motion goes inside like it's going to be a jet sweep.
Yep.
And all of a sudden he starts, going across, and he starts getting deep to get past all that junk.
Yep.
And he turns back around side. That doesn't mean that I don't have you anymore. I still got you. So you watch him. If I got you, I got you. So period, stay on your guy.
But
that's what they call it. They call it got you defense. That's man to man. If you're man to man, you got him man to man. Then stay on him man to man. I understand that you guys have problems with switching motions, I also understand that whenever they went in motion, you know who they had right there behind them in that motion.
Yes.
They've got Travis Kelce sitting right there. So they're more worried about Travis Kelce and what he can do in the red zone as opposed to what he's going to do, what their man who they had man-to-man is going to do. Worry about your man. Everybody worry. If all 11 guys worry about your guy, you ain't got to worry about it, man. And that was what happened, you know. I mean, there's no way that Maddox could not cover Sky Moore.
Thank you.
There's no way that Big Play Slay couldn't cover Tony. There's no way they couldn't. But they weren't playing got you. If I got you, I got you. They're worried about everybody else. They're more worried about what Kelce can do. Let Kelce's man worry about Kelce. If you're not a part of that, don't worry about Kelce. Worry about your man.
Yeah.
Now, this is a learning experience. It's a learning experience.
But here's the thing, Barrett. Both of the guys, Slay and Maddox, both get caught looking inside when the ball is snapped.
To who?
Huh?
Who are they looking into?
That's what I want to know. Because
they were looking at the Kelce. They trying to see what the hell Travis Kelce is doing.
But
Kelce,
Kelce wasn't in motion. They knew where he was.
Yeah.
They should have been looking at Kelce. You got an edge rusher. Okay, when you inside the 5 like that, somebody's got to bump. First of all, the edge rusher's got to bump him. Then you got a linebacker. We're talking about less than a 10-yard radius from that yard of scrimmage to the back of the end zone. The congestion in there makes it that much more difficult for you to find. I understand Kelce's the primary weapon in there. So you had the middle of the field set. Even if it was going to Kelce, your game plan going in, blanket that dude no matter where he goes. So you knew that, right? But 2 veteran DBs made rookie mistakes getting caught looking inside when the ball is snapped. Now, they played other teams that use a similar motion, and they covered them. But all of a sudden, in this particular case, they lost their minds and got out of technique, got off their focus. Now, one time it happens, I'm huddling up with my DBs on the sideline. Hold up, we can't let this happen again. We know they like to use motion. Doggone it, they goes down the field the next series and do the same doggone thing to the opposite side.
Oh, yeah, fool me once,
shame on you. That's right.
Fool me twice, then it's shame on me.
That's right.
For not getting it. And that's what it was. I mean, bro, the more I think about it, the more I digest it, and I watched the game again this morning. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I broke it down. It was 5 plays, really basically 5 plays that killed the Eagles. 5 plays. It was the fumble by Hurts, the return by the punt team.
Tony.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those 2 same plays we're talking about in where they score touchdowns with the motion. And then that one 3rd down play where supposedly Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain, but he ran his ass off for like 30 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Those 5 plays.
Hey, Barrett, if you go back to the Cincinnati game, it's the same scenario. Mahomes, who's playing on one leg, who throws a brilliant touchdown pass, okay, what did he do before that? He took off running on one leg, picked up a big chunk of real estate to set him up for that go-ahead touchdown. Same thing. He steps up through a gaping hole on the left side. He steps up and slides to his left, 26 yards, and nobody can catch up to this dude. That's what I don't understand.
We fell for the banana tailpipe.
Yeah, he's not nearly as hurt as this has all been made.
Yeah, we fell for the banana tail. In fact, you know what, dog? We fell for the Jerry Maguire. He's sitting down like this.
Yep.
Everybody looking?
Mm-hmm.
Is everybody looking? Okay.
Yep.
We fell for it. We
true.
got it.
It's
we got
true.
it.
It's true.
And it's a learning experience. We learned. I learned from this too. I can't be so confident in a team's ability to go out there, and the better team should win. The better team should win. Everything that I laid out scenario-wise.
But what wasn't taken into account enough, I don't mean you, but I mean everybody, it was the experience factor with the coaches.
No question.
And Sirianni and Steichen and Gannon looked like the first time they'd ever been there. And Bieniemy and Spags and Andy looked like the vets who had been there before.
No question.
That's another thing. And I don't know why I let myself get pulled into it, though. But I was actually thinking, well, Quez has been shitty.
He sucks.
For the past 3. I'm sorry, Ma, but I had to say it. He was shitty.
Let's just call
put
it
$10 in a cookie jar.
He sucks.
I'm going to do it. But just like Dan said, How do you drop a wide open? He was wide open, man.
I don't want to hear how fast he is. There's a million fast guys.
But he stopped running the route, number one.
Right. Like he
Then
always
saw what he threw it. He tried to catch up with it, and he tried to lunge for it.
He's
But
done
still,
that several times.
he
Couple
still-
of
he
picks
still
that
should've
Jalen
caught-
Hurts had this year is because he
Yes.
broke routes off.
He still should have caught that ball.
He can't play.
Right.
He can't play.
If a ball hits your hands, fellas, in the NFL, the ball hits your fingertips, it should be a catch. It should be a catch. I don't care about it's called a drop. That was a drop by him.
It's 100%.
But it
drop.
didn't hit his fingertips. It fitted, it dropped in his whole hand. He had it in his hands and he drops it. I don't, you get paid to do one thing, bruh. One thing. You get paid to do one thing. And that one thing is to run go routes and catch bombs. What happened in 17, 18? When we had the same type of guy. What's his name from Baltimore? We had Torrey Smith.
Yeah.
We had Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith knew his only job to take the top off the deep fish and catch the deep route.
Yep.
That's all he did.
Yeah. Look,
and that's all they paid him to do, and they won a Super Bowl because of it.
So he shouldn't be back next year. The bigger issue too is like you had all year, you knew Sippo stunk all year. And I know, when he got hurt, you brought in Brett Kern, who had been a veteran, and he wasn't good either.
Sucked also.
That should have been corrected a long time ago. I know we're doing like the classic second guess stuff.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, yeah.
But it's, that was something that you knew really all year was an issue, and you kind of got away with it just because you were so much better than everybody else. But then in the worst spot, it bites you in the ass. Like there was just a lot of things, man.
And that's another thing. And hindsight. This guy has not punted since the Chicago game. Was it Chicago?
No,
game?
it was the first Giants game.
The first Giants. He hadn't punted since the first Giants game.
A long time, man.
We're talking about 6-7 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has not punted in a game.
Yep.
Nope.
For 6-7 weeks.
Probably just roll with Kern for this one.
So I'm not even gonna talk about the missed tackle down there.
Yeah.
Because he should have tackled him right.
Twice. There were 2 missed tackles.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yep.
That's number one. But still, this guy have not taken a snap, and you activate him on a Super Bowl, on the biggest stage ever. See, there was so many little things that I'm like, now I see it, and I looked at the film. They weren't out physical. They weren't out talented. They were just out coached.
Outsmarted.
Yeah, they were special. Everybody that needed to be special at that one play were special at that one play.
Yeah. Yep.
Sky Moore was special at that one play.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney was special at that one play.
Mm-hmm.
Tony was special on that punt return.
Yeah.
He was special. You got to be special all the time, man.
Especially in that game against that team.
Nick Bolton is a monster.
Yeah, he's a beast.
And he was special the entire game.
Let's come back. Let's talk about Lane Johnson is going to have surgery. Let's talk about Shane Steichen is officially the Colts' new head coach. Jonathan Gannon, we're awaiting word, but he could be headed to the desert very shortly. We're waiting to hear. We'll dive into all those kind of things. I want to hear what you have to say on the field conditions, Barrett, what you have to say about the Bradbury penalty, what you have to say about the Devontae Smith overrule of that catch on the sidelines. Let's dive into all of it when we come back, because there's a lot more meat on this bone to get into. That's for sure. That's D Gunn. That's B Brooks. I am R Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I'm going to tell you right now about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group. Yes, knowing who to trust, finding that right person with your finances, with your hard-earned money and your future can be very difficult. Jim Murray is that person. I can tell you from personal experience, he's someone that I trust with my finances, whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. You might have a small business. You're trying to set up your employee benefits. That's another resource that Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group can help you with. I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollovers to Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751, or you can email him, murray.jim@principal.com. That's Murray, MURRAY.jim@principal.com.